howdy folks, and welcome back. Cumberland Outdoorsman here on a special day. It's probably my favorite holiday of the whole year, and that's Thanksgiving. So I thought I'd come out here before the kids and grandkids, everybody arrives, while the turkey and the ham are cooking, and shoot this video to share this little story with you. The other day I was talking to my good friend Wayne Jenkins. He's also a follower of this channel. And I was contemplating whether or not to even mention any of this, but he said, sure, you can share that with your viewers. I'm sure they'll enjoy it. So here it goes. As you all know, I love to collect pocket knives. So I've got a few here on the table that I want to share with you. And this ties in directly with the story I'm getting ready to tell you. It was about April of 2004, 2005, somewhere in there, and it was the opening day of the spring turkey season here in Tennessee. And the old gentleman that I used to hunt with, I'd go over to his house and we'd get together and hop in the truck and go to any number of farms that we had permission to hunt and go turkey hunting. And we really got after it. You know, we harvested a lot of turkeys and did a lot of hunting and fishing together back in the day. And he's passed away now. He's been gone since 2009. But either way, like I said, it was opening day of the turkey season. And when I got over there, he approached me and he said, let's go to Columbia today. That's Columbia, Tennessee, by the way. I said, Columbia for what? He said, well, today is Mule Day, and I know you've never been. I said, yeah, but it's the opening of the Tennessee turkey season. He said, well, you know, we've got all year long, or all season long. We'll go tomorrow. I said, okay, so let's go to Columbia for Mule Day. And what Mule Day is, for those of you that don't know, it's a traditional festival where people that have mule teams get together and they compete against one another. And they want to find out who can, or which team can pull the most amount of weight, the longest distance in the shortest amount of time. It's sort of like drag racing in a way, but with mule teams, you know. And anyway, we hopped in the truck and made the trip down there. And on the way, I remember very distinctly seeing a big gobbler on the side of a hill there where the woods met a field. And there were some hens out there, and he was out there in full strut. And I mean, it was just killing me. But anyway, we went on and drove to Columbia, Tennessee, and we arrived at the event, and it was just a beautiful day, just gorgeous. I mean, bluebird type of day. Sun was out, temperature was nice, and it was just gorgeous. So we attended the event, and we were sitting in some bleachers, and honestly, I was actually enjoying the event because I was amazed at how well disciplined those mule teams were, and it's just like they just live for that event. You know, they wanted to compete against one another. That's what it seemed like to me anyway. So after a while, you know, I was sitting there and I was starting to get a little bit hungry, and between events I told my old buddy, I said, look, I'm going to get me a hot dog or something. I'm kind of hungry right now. And he said, well, good, go get me something while you're out too. I said, well, while I'm out, I'm going to check out some of the vendors, you know, because they had booths set up where they were selling home crafts and collectibles and things like that, you know. And so I went and got me a hot dog, and I was sitting there for a little while looking around. I noticed one booth there where the guy had nothing but pocket knives in display cases. And one of the display cases had nothing but case knives. And as you know, I collect case knives. I've showed you my collection before in a previous video. And there was one in particular that caught my eye. And I said, how much for that one right there? And he looked at it, he said, oh, about $85. I said, can I look at it? So he opened the case and handed it to me, and I checked it out and everything. And I reached in my wallet, and I had 3 20s and a 5. So I handed him $65. I said, how about that? And he said, sold. So I handed him the money and put that little pocket knife in my pocket and went on my way. And I picked up my friend something to eat there, and when I got to where he was at, he was sitting on the bleacher, I remember very distinctly, and he was talking to another fellow there that was from East Tennessee, and they were carrying on a little conversation about hunting and fishing and, you know, just an average thing, and they were mentioning something about ginseng hunting, and I remember that very distinctly. So anyway, I handed him his food, and he said, "What'd you get?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I know you. You went out and you bought something. What'd you buy?" I said, "Well, you got me." I said, I bought a pocket knife." He said, "Well, let me see it." So I handed him that pocket knife, and he opened the blades, and he was looking at it, you know, and checking it out. And he said, "What do you take for it?" I said, "Well, I don't want to sell it. I just bought it, you know." He said, "Oh, yeah, I know. I'm just kidding you. I've got one just like it." I said, I knew you did, so that's the reason I wanted that one. So anyway, we finished watching the event, and then we went on home. We got home around 1 o'clock or 1:30, something like that. And then he said, "Well, you want to go turkey hunting in the morning?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, be here in the morning." I said, "Okay." So on the way home, I drove by one of the farms where we had permission to hunt, and I thought, you know, I'm going to check here and see if I can locate a gobbler. That way we'll know where to start in the morning, and we'll get a head start on them. So this is no lie, folks. I got out of the truck, I had my glass call in my hand, and I hit 3 yelps, and 2 gobblers responded really close to where I was at. And I thought, man, they are really close. So I went back to my truck, got my gun, and went through the woods there, and there was a little path that went through the woods that led out into an open field. And I found a tree, and I got up next to that tree, and I called one more time. And that time 3 gobblers responded. I mean, it was 1 gobble and then 2 more right after that. And I waited just a minute, and then I could hear a spit and drum, and I looked up, and there were 3 big longbeards not 30 yards from me in full strut. And I thought, wow, man, that was easy. So I raised my gun, and I popped one of them. You know, I harvested my opening day gobbler. I thought, wow, that was a flash hunt if there ever was one. So I drove home, and I was just as happy as I could be. I had a brand new pocket knife, and I had my opening day Tennessee gobbler. So, like I said, that was a long time ago, and I carried that pocket knife with me for many, many years after that. And like I mentioned, my old buddy passed away in 2009, and I carried it even after that. And I couldn't help but think about him every time I had that knife out, you know, or I was sharpening it or whatever. And then one day I was at work, and I was working on a car, and there was a customer that came in, and then they left, and then there was another car that was dropped off from a car lot, and I got it fixed, and they picked it up and left, and I didn't really have anything to do, but I went over to my toolbox to open a package or something, and I reached in my pocket, and that knife was gone. And I don't know about y'all out there, but if you carry a pocket knife, when it's gone, it's like you've lost your wallet or something. You know, instant panic sets in. You drop everything, and you start looking for your knife. So I looked under my toolbox, I looked under my rack, and just everywhere, and I could not find that knife. And I was just sick. So I called the car lot up, and I said, "Do y'all mind looking in that car? Maybe my pocket knife slipped out of my pocket, you know, while I was test driving it." Anyway, they called back, said, "No, we didn't find a knife." And I thought, yeah, well, that's a likely story. You know, you got a case knife. If you go find a case knife, you're going to keep it. So anyway, I wrote that knife off as being lost forever. And then over a year ago, my uncle and I were talking about deer hunting. He said, "Yeah, you know, I don't think I'm going to do any more muzzleloader hunting. I think I'm going to sell my muzzleloader." I said, "Well, if you're going to sell your muzzleloader, sell it to me." He said, "Well, do you want it?" I said, "Well, sure, I want it." He said, "Well, if you want it, just come over here and get it." So you've seen this gun before. This is a Thompson Center Renegade that I had built, I don't know, some 25 years or so ago, and he gave it to me, and along with the muzzle loader, he gave me a bag full of accessories. There were nipple wrenches and cappers and some bullets rolling around in the bottom of it, just all kinds of accessories, cleaning patches, you name it. And then a couple of weeks ago, I was at work, and I thought, you know, I'm going to go through that bag. I had it in my truck. I was between jobs, didn't have anything to do. And back where we sit, there's a little lounge area, and there was a big leather chair sitting back there that I always sit in. And I was going through that bag, and there were some Hornady Great Plains bullets in there, and I had 3 of them in my hand, and one of them rolled out of my hand and hit my leg and fell down in the crack of that chair. So I reached down there, and I couldn't reach to the bottom of it, so I got up out of the chair and pulled the cushion out and reached down with my other hand, and I thought, what am I feeling there? I feel something. And there was that knife. Been in that chair for over 4 years, and I had no idea. If that bullet hadn't fallen in that crack, it'd still be laying there. But I had my old knife back. And boy, I tell you what, I was sure happy. It was like seeing an old friend again, you know. And it's worn down some. I mean, it's pocket worn from where I carried it every day. But there it is, folks. That's my old K. Stockman that I bought on Mule Day of opening day turkey season. I want to say it's 2004, but anyway, I got it back, and I sure am happy. Well, I've always collected case pocket knives, and my favorite pattern has always been the K. Stockman. And when I lost that one, I replaced it with this one here, which is very similar. And I've been carrying it ever since, and I still carry it to this day. But I've got some more pocket knives here on the table that I'd like to share with you. This is kind of a show and tell story time. That way when you're sitting back and digesting your turkey and ham supper, you can enjoy this little story in this video. So let me show you what I've got here on the table, and then I'll close out the video with some final thoughts. Well, folks, what I've got on the table here is a variety of medium K. Stockman knives. And the one that I featured in the video, the one that the story was about, is this one right here. I'll give you a closer look at it. And you can tell it's pocket worn. It's been used quite a bit. When I first got this knife, it was still in brand new condition. And I've got a photo of when I first got it where I harvested some morel mushrooms. And it's hardly recognizable since then. But as you can see, the handles are worn pretty smooth, and the blade is worn down a little bit from use and from sharpening, but it's still a serviceable little knife. You know, you could carry it every day and it would serve you quite well. And then this is the one that I carry to this day. This is the one that I replaced this one with when I lost it. And still a very useful knife. It's stainless steel blades. That one there was a 1985, I believe. I mentioned it in the video. Yes, 85. And this one is actually a 1979. So this is an older knife. Very comparable though, those two are. And most all of these are bone-handled knives. Now this one here has a genuine stag. This is a newer knife here. This is a 1997. Still in brand new condition. And it has a little bit of a different logo here on the handle. Here's another one that has that same logo. This is also a 1997. Brand new knife. Never been carried, never been sharpened. This one's in red bone handle. And then I've got another one here that has a little different logo. They came out 1 or 2 years, I'm not sure, with this knife here. This is a 1987. Still like brand new. Good looking knife. And then here's an older knife here. This is a 1971. This one has chrome vanadium steel blades. Never been carried or sharpened. I mean, it's really clean. Not a speck of rust on it anywhere, as you can see. And I wipe all these down. As you can see, I leave my fingerprints on them when I'm handling them, but I wipe them down before I put them back in the display case, because you don't want any rust to develop on these blades. Even the bottom of this knife here where the springs are, it's still just as clean as it was when it was new. 1971. And let's see, I've got another older knife here. This is a 1979. Same year as this one here. There's something on the blade here that's etched into this blade. It says "for flesh only," so I'm not even sure what that means. If anyone knows, please leave a comment below. You can see that on this small blade here. This one here has never been carried or sharpened. Still like brand new. Real good condition. I just like this pattern. This is a really nice pattern. This is one that I just recently picked up. It's still like a new knife. Never been carried or sharpened. This one is a 1980. This one was also made at the turn of that decade. And the springs are really stout in this one. I mean, you can hear it when I close it. It's got real good snap to it. Good looking knife. I just really like the color on this knife. Kind of a smoky, dark color. And let's see what else we have here. Here's another new grind. I wanted to share that with you. That's kind of a newer style that Case came up with for a few years, where they had this nice transition from the rear of the blade into the cutting part of the blade here. And that's featured on all the blades. Doesn't have that hard edge like I mentioned. So anyway, that's just a portion of my collection. I wanted to get these out and show them to you because I think they tie in real well with the story. Well folks, just to close out this video, I wanted to leave you with some final thoughts. And I know it seems kind of trivial talking about a pocket knife, but I mean, they are just tools really. But there's memories attached to them, you know, like this one here. I can't help but think about my old buddy that I lost so many years ago whenever I hold this knife in my hand. There's just so many memories attached to it. And that's what life's all about in the end, is a collection of memories, really, you know. And that's why I say always try to make the best of the times you have together with your friends and family, because that's what you'll have in the end, is memories. So make this Thanksgiving a memorable one and have a happy time with your friends and family. And remember, if you like to go hunting, fishing, camping, shooting, hiking, whatever your outdoor pursuit might be, I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. And also remember, hit that like button, smash the bell icon, and subscribe. That way you'll know when more videos like this one will be coming your way. So until next time, y'all get out there, enjoy the great outdoors, and I'll be seeing you.